running to lead us in this province here. And so thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks, Ken. I'll try to be quick in my comments. I'm Dana Larsen. I've been working to end the war on marijuana and end the war on drugs for pretty much all of my adult life. I was editor of Cannabis Culture magazine for 10 years with Mark Emery. I helped found the BC Marijuana Party and the Canadian Marijuana Party. I helped co-found the Vancouver Seed Bank. I created the Vancouver Dispensary Society, which now serves about 2,500 people with medical cannabis products across the Lower Mainland. And 7 years ago, I joined the NDP and I became a New Democrat. And since that time, I've been to something like 20 NDP conventions across the country. And we've managed to pretty much write the marijuana and drug policy for the NDP in British Columbia. Alberta recently passed our resolution. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, we had a big influence in Ontario. And we're working on the federal party to get a stronger drug policy through there. And I think that the solution, what we're looking for as a movement to change these laws is to change the law in the government. That's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do. And that involves changing public opinion, it involves civil disobedience, it involves education, it involves groups like this getting out there. But ultimately, we need a politician or political leaders to introduce a new law or to repeal the cannabis laws that we have now. That is ultimately what we're trying to do with all of our movement. And so we need a political voice. We need some people in Parliament and in the legislature who will speak for our cause and who will speak for our movement, and that is the NDP. Now, there's always challenges in every party, and there's always difficulties, and there's always different groups with different factions and different ideas. But the fact is that the NDP, the drug policy critic is Libby Davies. She has been the greatest ally to our movement in politics ever in Canada. She has spoken out repeatedly on this issue. She's been very active and put her political credentials on the line to help back up our movement, to help legalize marijuana and end the war on drugs in Canada. And the NDP federally has voted the right way on every drug bill that's come up over the last 20 years. They've always stood up against prohibition, against the war on drugs, against putting marijuana users in jail, and we need to get involved and help make that happen. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running for the leadership of the BC NDP. Part of my effort is to bring in the cannabis community and the activists that have worked so hard and are working so hard to end the war on this plant and to make it more available and to find a political home for us. And the NDP is that home. But we have to get involved and make things happen and become a part of this party. And people sometimes say this is a federal issue and provincially we can't do anything. These are all federal laws, but that's nonsense. The fact of the matter is it's the province of British Columbia that pays for the police, we pay for the prisons, we pay for the courts, and we pay the social costs of putting people in jail for no valid reason just because they happen to enjoy marijuana. And we know that marijuana is the world's most wonderful plant. There's no other plant that has the amazing medicinal benefits, that has the industrial benefits, that has the nutritional value of cannabis. It is the world's best plant. It's our #1 economic engine of this province, and the cannabis issue ties into every other issue that we talk about, whether we're talking about gang violence, whether we're talking about a better environment, whether we're talking about the economy or policing. Cannabis ties into every single one of these issues. It ties into our healthcare system, through our dispensaries, and it's the one issue that is not being discussed enough provincially in this leadership race and in our politics. And by me being there and being part of this NDP race, I will ensure that the cannabis issue gets brought up and is given the prominence that it deserves in these debates and in this political system. So I need you to get involved and help join the NDP. If you don't like the NDP for some reason, join a different political party. It's not just about the NDP, it's about getting involved politically and making a difference. But the fact is the NDP is the one party that has stood up for us and has been there for the cannabis movement, and they'll be there tenfold if we get involved and push them towards that and become part of that party. And so I hope you will get involved and help make a difference. And you know, you're too late now to join the party and support me as leader because you have to have joined by January 17th. But there's a ton of NDP stuff that we're doing cannabis-wise that is worthy to get involved in. The federal NDP convention is going to be in Vancouver in June, and there's going to be thousands of NDPers all across the country coming here. And we're working with people all across the country to pass a resolution we've written which will make the NDP stance even stronger in terms of really solidifying and putting together all these little things they passed over the years, that marijuana should be taxed and regulated and legalized, and that our whole war on drugs should be changed and focused on health and not on crime as a way of dealing with it. So my associate Nicole Seguin is in the back. She has NDP membership forms back there if you want to join up. You could go online to votedana.ca, which is my website, and see some of the things that I stand for aside from marijuana. And also you can go to the NDP's website, ndp.ca or bcndp.ca, and you can join up online there. It's very easy to do. It only costs a few dollars. It's only like $1 if you're under 26, you're underemployed. Otherwise, it's supposed to be about $10 to join the NDP, but really whatever you can afford is fine. And it's a very important way to make a difference. And when you join up with us, we'll make sure you stay in touch. I have a group within the NDP called End Prohibition. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. End Prohibition, New Democrats Against the Drug War. We've got over 1,000 New Democrats across the country who have joined this group now to get involved with us, to help promote these ideas. So when you join our party, when you get involved with End Prohibition, you're joining up with people all across the country who want to make a difference, who want to end these laws. And so I urge you to get involved politically. That's what we're seeking. And you can make a huge difference when you get involved with a political party like the NDP. So all of us here can make a difference because these laws have been on our whole lives. It's hard for us to even imagine what the world would be like with legal marijuana. You know, when they had alcohol prohibition, it was all within one generation. So people could see how things got drastically worse once they banned alcohol and how things improved again and how all the ideas that they had about what was going to happen were all wrong and how things improved greatly again once they legalized it. The marijuana prohibition has gone on far longer than anyone here in this room has been alive. So it's been something we've all experienced our whole lives. It seems kind of bizarre to imagine that this is really unnatural and that one day we're going to end this whole terrible nightmare and we're going to wake up from this prohibition that we've created in our society. And we are so close to that now. We can't let this opportunity slip away from us or else it'll be another generation. And we don't want to pass this down to our children as our parents passed this down to us. It's time to end this war so that we can look our children, our grandchildren in the face, and so they will never know the scourge of marijuana prohibition. So they can grow up in a society where their homes are made from hemp and their cars are built out of hemp and run on hemp fuel, and where they eat hemp gruel and they wear hemp clothes and they use cannabis medicine, and it's all normal. And I want them to look in their history books and to ask their grandparents, is it true that when you were young that cannabis was illegal and people went to jail for doing this? And you can say, yeah, it was. And you know what? It's because of me and people like me that we changed those laws. I made a difference. I did something about it. And so we can all make a difference. Never think that just as one person you can't make a difference, because we're all working together, and as individuals we can all do a lot, especially when we team up and get involved and make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dana. It's been 16 years we've worked together, and it's wonderful to see him taking it to this new level.